You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rodrance for Black and White Sports 2. Well, let's talk about the XFL because the XFL has a bona fide scandal, a real, actual controversy. Now, these teams are sort of housed together in one strategic location, I believe in Arlington, Texas, which is where the Renegades are. One of the measures they put together prior to the season for some kind of cost-cutting situation. Well, anyway, we've got a situation where a former University of Tennessee quarterback, and I went and looked at his numbers, and I was like, wait, this guy's playing in any kind of professional football league? Because, frankly, to put it bluntly, he didn't look like he was very good in college at all. I was like 21 touchdowns and 15 picks. And, you know, that in itself kind of struck me because I've talked about, you know, these spring leagues making it based on having good quarterbacks that they can find. Well, look, surely to God you can find a guy that was a bigger stud than that. There's college quarterbacks everywhere that did not make it in the NFL. So that in itself seems kind of crazy. This guy plays for the Orlando Guardians. Terrell Buckley, the coach there, came out, skewered his players the other day by saying basically they didn't want to play. He needed guys that wanted to play football. And he was like, they're not giving the effort. I mean, it was, you know, he was a hardcore player in the NFL. And you can tell Buckley is, you know, he's one of these guys that's trying to make a name for himself so he can eventually get into the NFL coaching ranks. So let's get to this. We got a bona fide controversy. This is wild. Barstool Sports, XFL quarterback Quinten Dormady, I guess, was released after reportedly giving opponents his own team's playbook. Wow. I mean, this kind of thing, I would have assumed that you would be banned for life in the NFL over something like this or just blackballed or something. I mean, just absolutely a no-go. Dov Cleveman, this guy's got a great Twitter account. Story, Guardians of the XFL cut QB Quinten Dormady after he allegedly gave the opposing team plays from the Guardians playbook. The team heard about it, investigated it, and released Dormady. They have removed his stats from the XFL website. Wow. That's crazy. Now, Barstool adds their little flavor to it, but he says, I can't believe that this guy's getting paid to play football, if you ask me. What the quarterback who led Tennessee to the worst team of all time was doing now, I would have guessed selling insurance. This story can't end here, though. We have to know what Dormady was getting in return as a double agent, and they go on to speculate about the fact that there's maybe they were trying to drum up some controversy in the XFL. I just don't really believe that. Let's listen to Terrell Buckley. Welcome back to Orlando here with
Coach Buckley. Coach, how do you change this momentum?
We got to get different guys. I got guys out there that are not competing, that are not making plays. So we got to get people in there, young men that want to play, that want to compete and make plays.
I just saw you walk up and down this sideline and look some guys in their faces. What did you see out of your team?
I'm seeing guys not performing. Look at the scoreboard. They got to perform.
I mean, that man was not happy. He was not happy. They go on to talk about how they want more stories like this in the XFL. I'll be the first to tell you, yeah, it's controversy. Yeah, it's publicity. Yeah, I guess in theory you could go out there and say any publicity for a league like this is good publicity. I don't know that I buy that. You are trying to make a name for yourself as a legitimate spring league. You've got a name that people have heard of, that people know people want to tune into a professional football league, feel like it's on the up and up, and that there is a certain amount of professionalism from all the players on all the teams. And this is pretty wild. But like I said, when I went back and looked at this guy's stats, and Barstool brought it up, they thought this guy would be selling insurance somewhere, and that's as a laugh. But the point is, I'm not sure why a guy like this, I'm sure he probably got an invite, and maybe he outperformed some other guys, but that's sort of shocking to me that you wouldn't go, maybe we should contact Cardell Jones. Maybe we should see if Landry Jones wants to come back and play. The problem is the XFL in this incarnation is not paying their quarterbacks the premium that they were in 2020. In the 2020 XFL version, they were paying 8 quarterbacks $500,000 apiece. And that was enough money to get guys that actually had been legit backups in the NFL, Josh Johnson, Landry Jones, a couple of other different guys, to come out there and actually want to play XFL at quarterback. A.J. McCarron is a good example. In other words, you would think this league could somehow field, you can't find 8 A.J. McCarron types or Jordan Ta'amus or whatever, and now you have this. Judging by how bad the Guardians have been, this is not a great loss. But it does lead you to believe, I mean, how much did this influence outcomes in these games? Because the Guardians have been horrible. And to a point, somewhat, they haven't been all that competitive either. Like you heard, you just heard the coach. He's pissed. I don't blame him. And I'm sure everybody in the organization's livid. I'd love to know what the Rocks thought about this, Dwayne Johnson, because, again, look, the ratings came out the other day. They did drop 50%, but there was a silver lining there because the ratings were actually, I thought, pretty good considering you had non-OTA games. In other words, you had games that were on FX, and you had one game on regular ESPN. It got a pretty good rating, nearly 800,000 people. But you didn't have any network television games, meaning you were not going to get 1 million viewers, no matter what, really. And it had a less drop than the USFL and the AEF had in their week 1 to week 2. There was a little silver lining. The attendance has not been as good, but in a couple of spots, it's going to be okay, and we've got to see how the weather goes in some of these cities. But San Antonio and St. Louis, they're going to draw for this league. I don't know. I like I said, I know there's a couple of places out there that are, including Barstool, that are talking about any publicity is good publicity, but I don't think it is. I really don't. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time. Black and White Network supporters, make sure you go over and check out the Black and White Network merchandise store. 25% off USA First. 25% off USA First. Go now.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.